Let's talk about Monrovia's film industry.
Okay, the year was 1915, and a group of promoters came to Monrovia thinking it might be a filmmaking, maybe not capital, but certainly a filmmaking place in Southern California at a time that Hollywood was also making pictures. They organized or incorporated the Monrovia Feature Film Company, sold stock, and began to plan their first production. John Wiley says in that September 1915, Monrovia enjoyed the sweet dream that someday she might be a movie metropolis and rival the then expanding Hollywood. And in fact, destiny really had been knocking at our doors. So great are the romantic surroundings of the movie world that the people read with considerable pleasure and no little excitement that a formation of a movie company be known as the Monrovia Feature Film Company was ensured a fact. The essence of the article was that John H. Bartle and F.J. Corns had closed a deal for the sale of 154 acres on Gold Hill to such a company for $35,000. This was serious money in 1915. So they planned two productions. One was called The Argonauts of 49. It was a reference to the gold seekers in California during the California Gold Rush. Elsewhere I've read that they created a miniature San Francisco on Gold Hill and then proceeded to burn it down as part of the filming. They also produced another film called A Daughter of the Don, set in Spanish or Mexican California. Used several local sites for filming, one of them being the Baird Estate in Duarte, which was a large 100-plus acre estate with a large house and very lavishly landscaped grounds, and they used some of the exterior features like a wonderful pool as a setting. All was going well. But then, unfortunately, someone noticed that their script, one of their scripts, perhaps A Daughter of the Don, bore an amazing resemblance to a copyrighted work. A suit was initiated. Alas, they were found guilty of copyright infringement, passed out of existence, and all the Monrovia investors were not only out of hopes, but out of pocket. The only thing I think that remains of the Monrovia Feature Film Company is an ancient picture of their filming location on West Palm, about where the Monrovia Community Center is today. It was a soundstage, an early soundstage. It even looks as though it could have been rotated to catch the right angle of the sun as they were doing their filming. It was probably for, I don't know, it doesn't mention which one it was, but it was there for a few months as they were doing their filming. So the only reminder, occasionally I think maybe antique pieces of stationery with the film company logo appear, but that old picture of the soundstage on West Palm, to the best of my knowledge, is the only lasting reminder of the Monrovia Feature Film Company. One of the principals was R.M. Francisco. He rented a house at 255 North Canyon. That may not be correct. How about 261 North Canyon? And the interesting thing is I was flipping through yesterday's Heritage for today's child, I happened to flip to a miscellanea page that says, and I quote, Robert Frost, Pulitzer Prize-winning American poet, had a daughter-in-law who was a patient at one of the sanitariums. He made his home in Monrovia for several months while she was a patient. Well, interestingly enough, Robert Frost rented the same house on North Canyon that R.M. Francisco of the Monrovia Feature Film Company rented a number of years earlier. So that house has some interesting associations. Yeah. Monrovia's Heritage also mentions, and it says, this is referring back to 1915, so we're talking about 1930, almost 15 years later, Studio Santa Fe began producing movies in Monrovia, but again, the company was not successful. I've done a little bit of research on the Studio Santa Fe or Santa Fe Studio. I believe it was located in a large two-story brick building that still exists at 145 West Duarte Road, part now recycling center. But at that time, it was not Duarte Road, it was Santa Fe Avenue. So I'm thinking that the studio may have taken its name either from the adjacent railroad tracks, which ran on the north side of the studio, or Santa Fe, as it was then known, instead of Duarte Road, which was the street frontage for this two-story brick building. There is another studio that existed about where Station Square is now. That's a project and a story for another time, because I need to track it down, find out where it was specifically, it's gone, what street it was on, and anything more I can find out about what films might have been produced at that location. So stay tuned to the next installment of Monrovia and Filmmaking.